Judaism and Islam have so much in common. They are often viewed as twin religions or religions that are most common with each other than any other religion. Although there are some striking differences, this video is going to be focused on highlighting 10 major things that the religion of Islam and Judaism have in common. FCD Facts fam, welcome back. My name is Leroy Kenton and we're going to be looking at 10 things that Judaism and Islam has in common. Some of these are probably going to be very surprising to you, and for some viewers you may say, oh, I knew all of this. Either way, hope you enjoy this video. Let's start at number 10 with the dietary laws. Most people have heard the term kosher in reference to Jewish food and the practices of Judaism, and Jews only eat kosher foods, right? At least you're supposed to. And like pork, for example, is not eaten and it's seen as not kosher. Similarly, in Islam, Muslims are also required to only eat certain types of food known as halal foods, and to stay away certain foods. Oftentimes they're called haram foods, although haram does have a broader application, not just when it comes to food. The term kosher means ritually correct, and this is derived from the Torah. Of course, not all Jews strictly follow these dietary guidelines. Most Orthodox Jews, by the way, do keep kosher, whereas many Reformed Jews, they may be more loose when it comes to following these rules. In Islam, the Quran does forbid eating things like pork and foods that are classified as either halal, permitted, or haram, forbidden. They have a long list of specifications. For example, alcohol, pork like I mentioned, blood, improperly slaughtered animals, and a whole lot of other restrictions are applied to foods in Islam. Number 9 brings us multiple daily prayers. This is another big similarity. Anyone may pray as often and at any time as they want. And in both Judaism and Islam, they share the similarity of a set amount of prayers that are to be done in a day. Generally, Muslims have the 5 prayers a day, and that's part of the 5 pillars of Islam. Everybody knows this, even non-Muslims are familiar with the 5 daily prayers. And what they're required to do is to pray in a certain format and face towards Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Now in Judaism, they usually pray about 3 times a day. Not all branches and sects of Judaism though, but generally they're to pray 3 times a day. One in the morning, and then in the afternoon, and finally one in the evening. Sometimes more prayers, of course, can be added in for specific holidays and things like that. And yeah, certain branches of Judaism consider the daily prayers as optional, like I mentioned. Number 8 brings us Jerusalem being a holy city. According to what's written in the Bible, the capital city now is, according to the Bible, Jerusalem has always had great significance. And now with the state of Israel, of course, Jerusalem is their capital. From Bible times, we know that the city of Jerusalem, which was the old capital of the Jews, that has great significance. It was established by the King David about 3,000 years ago, according to records. Now, David's son, King Solomon, established the first temple there. And even though the temple was never rebuilt after the destruction in 7 AD, Jerusalem is still held in high regard in Judaism. There's places like Temple Mount and the Wailing Wall. They receive thousands of visitors every single year. Now, when it comes to Islam, Jerusalem is also a very holy place. It is Islam's 3rd holiest city after Mecca and Medina. And Muslims recognize the previous prophets throughout history and their connections to Jerusalem. And Jerusalem also actually played a very important role when it came to Prophet Muhammad's night journey and ascension. That was when the angel Gabriel himself transported Prophet Muhammad from Mecca to Jerusalem for prayer, and then for Jerusalem to heaven, where he met some of the previous prophets who had ascended, or at least met their souls. Now, not many people know this, but Jerusalem was also the original direction that Muslims were instructed to face during their prayers. This was then changed to Mecca once Muslims were instructed to do so. Number 7 brings us to the greeting of peace, a very striking thing that these 2 religions have in common. Peace is a very central aspect to these religions. They both have similar greetings, meaning peace be upon you. Shalom Aleichem. That is a greeting in Hebrew, and that's used in Judaism and amongst Jews. And then the response to that would be Alechem Shalom, meaning unto you peace. Salam alaikum is the Arabic greeting used by Muslims, of course, and the appropriate response to that would be wa alaikum salam, meaning same thing as in Hebrew, unto you peace, or peace be unto you as well. Various different ways you can translate that, but yeah, very similar. Head coverings for women comes up next. Both Islam and Judaism encourage modesty in appearance and also promote the idea that women should cover their heads. Amongst Jewish women, you'll notice that when they're married, they often wear a scarf to cover their hair. And Islam, of course, does instruct women to wear a headscarf or hijab after they hit puberty. Along with the head covering, both religions encourage women to dress modestly in general. They don't be encouraging women to be showing off their bits everywhere. This includes, of course, wearing long, loose-fitting clothing just so that their figure is also covered up. The commonality at number 5 is the calendar. In Judaism and Islam, the calendar is based on the cycles of the moon, and the month begins by the sighting of the moon or calculating when the new moon will be in the sky. The beginning of the year in Judaism is known as Rosh Hashanah, which in Arabic is called Ras Hashanah. Then Yom Kippur corresponds to Ashura for Muslims, and after that we have the famous Jewish holiday Passover, which corresponds with Laylat al-Barat in the month of Shaban. Another example is Serafat HaOmer in Judaism corresponds to Ramadan in Islam. So yeah, that's a huge thing that they have in common, following the moon cycle. So literally the big holidays, they really line up when it comes to Judaism and Islam. Number 4, let's look at the Hadith and Talmud. What are these anyways? Well, in Islam and Judaism, the Hadith and Talmud, they hold a lot of significance because they're used in addition to their scriptures. The Muslims have the Quran, and of course the Jews have the Tanakh, and they were passed down from generation to generation. And again, they're not the scriptures of the religion, but they're supporting texts in how to live out the scriptures. Commonality number 3 is the practice of circumcision. Jews and Muslims, they're known to circumcise their children. They base this off of a teaching that is found in the Jewish scriptures. Abraham was commanded to be circumcised, and that would be a symbol of the promise that God had between Abraham and his offspring. And the Jewish Torah lays out instructions saying that the newborn should be circumcised on the 8th day after birth. And this actually is something that science has said has some benefits. Science has shown that on the 8th day, it's really important to do it on that day because the levels of vitamin K are the highest on that day. And vitamin K plays an important role in stopping bleeding. Now, the command for circumcision is not found in the Quran, but the Prophet Muhammad required it for his male followers, which makes sense because Jews and Muslims, they have very similar histories when it comes to Abraham. And that's actually who we're going to be talking about at number 2. The importance of Abraham is a big commonality. Abraham is a very important figure in Islam and Judaism, and they are both known as Abrahamic religions actually. Judaism, Islam, and Christianity are Abrahamic religions. Muslims descend from the Prophet Abraham and his son Ismail, or Ishmael in English. And Abraham had his son Isaac with his wife Sarah, and that's where we get the Jewish nation from. So see that? Father Abraham, start of both the lines of the Jews and the Arabs. And one thing to make note of though is that both Jews and Arabs are classified as Semitic people. Now, this is often viewed as only being associated with Jews, but no, anyone that is from the descendant of Shem, the son of Noah, is Semitic. And the commonality at number 1 we're going to end off at is strict monotheism. Judaism and Islam, they are staunch promoters in monotheism. Strict monotheism. God is one. The oneness of God, and they do not shake from that. Muslims refer to God by the term Allah. It's very similar to how Jews refer to God, Eloah. And well as there's other various different names, and I'm not going to get into those, but when they refer to God, the names actually sound the same. Allah, Eloah, very similar. And yes, God doesn't have any sons. God is one. There's no Trinity or anything like that. That is a very big commonality that Jews and Muslims share. So that brings us to the end of this episode. This is a look at 10 things that Islam and Judaism have in common. Let me know down below in the comments section if you enjoyed this video, you found it useful, entertaining, or do you want to just add on to anything that was shared? Sound off down below. Leave a like if you did enjoy this one. And until next time, guys, stay awesome, stay educated. I'll see you soon.